Welcome to our lecture series. Today we are receiving Professor Edna Yamasaki Patrikious from the University of Nicosia in Cyprus. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Professor Yamasaki got her first degree in medicine in 1988 from the Federal Fluminense University, followed by a Master in Science degree in 1990 and a PhD in 1994 in Biophysics, Neurobiology from the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. She did her postdoctoral training at the Massachusetts General Hospital from the Harvard Medical School in Boston, the Medical College of Virginia from Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, the University of Cyprus, and the Cyprus Institute of Neurology and Genetics in Nicosia, Cyprus. Today, she will present her talk, Ensuring Clean and Safe Drinking Water in Europe, Cyprus. Bem-vindos ao nosso ciclo de palestras Ambihidro. Hoje receberemos a professora Edna Yamasaki Patrikious, da Universidade de Nicosia, no Chipre. Agradecemos muito por aceitar nosso convite. A professora Yamasaki obteve sua graduação em Medicina em 1988 pela Universidade Federal Fluminense, seguida de um mestrado em 1990 e um doutorado em 1994 em Neurobiologia pela Universidade Federal do Rio de Janeiro. Ela fez estágio de pós-doutorado no Hospital Geral de Massachusetts, na Escola de Medicina de Harvard, em Boston, na Faculdade de Medicina da Virgínia, na Virginia Commonwealth University, em Richmond, na Universidade do Chipre e no Instituto de Neurologia e Genética, em Nicosia, no Chipre. A seguir, ela vai apresentar sua palestra Garantindo Água Limpa e Segura na Europa, Chipre.
Hello. My name is Edna Yamasaki Patrikious, and I am a professor at the Department of Life and Health Sciences, School of Sciences and Engineering at the University of Nicosia. I would like very much to thank Professor Jader Lugon Jr. for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today within the umbrella of the Ciclo de Palestras Ambihidro 2020. Before I start my talk, I would like to present to you a little bit about my university. This picture shows you the main buildings of the university. We are located in the neighborhood of Engomi within the city of Nicosia. The university, it's a very young university, but we are a very dynamic and motivated one. We are internationally ranked and accredited, and I present to you here the latest ranks for 2020. We are ranked number 106 within the regional rankings of Emerging Europe and Central Asia by the Times Higher Education. And because half of our students are distance learning students, we have worked very hard to ensure that we are delivering quality teaching and quality learning to our students. We are among the only 13 universities in the whole world that receive the QS 5 stars ranking for online learning. The university has 6 schools and 20 departments and 30 research centers. We have projects within the European Union, several Horizon 2020 projects, either as partners or as coordinators. These are some of the areas that we are investing a lot in: artificial intelligence, digital currencies and blockchain, and forecast competitions. We have a very close relationship with the Cyprus Institute of Neurology, that allows us, which is the reference center for neurological diseases within the Middle East and the region in the Mediterranean area. The title of my presentation today is Ensuring Clean and Safe Drinking Water in Europe and Cyprus. And this is my agenda. I will tell you about the EU drinking water, the quality of the water. I will discuss a little bit with you what ensures the quality of the water is maintained within the EU I will give you one example with the Mediterranean island of Cyprus. And the last part of my talk will be a little bit on terms of research that I have been working on in microplastics and in a pathogen called Cryptosporidium. Today, almost 100% of the drinking water is safe to drink across the EU. This figure shows the average consumption of tap water per person. The data is for 2014-2015. And in Cyprus, as I am in Cyprus, the average consumption of tap water is about 105 liters per person. This is a little below the average, the EU average of 120. The drinking water in the EU comes from the groundwater, about 50%, 36% is the surface water, and 14% of other water. What do Europeans use tap water for? Washing and personal hygiene, cooking directly from the tap, and drinking 55% directly from the tap or 10% after filtering it. What ensures the quality of this water then? In 1998, the European Commission set up a Council directive, also called DWD, Drinking Water Directive, on the quality of water intended for human consumption. Yes, the objective of this Drinking Water Directive was to protect human health from adverse effects of any contamination of water intended for human consumption, making sure that this water is wholesome and clean. So this is an overview of the Drinking Water Directive. Using the scientific basis for setting up quality standards, the essential quality standards in the drinking water, used as a base the World Health Organization guidelines for drinking water and the Commission's Scientific Advisory Committee opinion. They set up about 48 microbiological, chemical, and indicator parameters that should be monitored and tested regularly. So this directive then should be incorporated into the national legislation of the member states. And these member states, they could include additional requirements, i.e. they could include additional substances that were relevant within their territory, or they could even set higher standards. They could not set lower standards though, because the standards should be the same throughout the whole European Union. For a limited time, the member states could depart from the chemical quality standards that were specified in this directive, provided that they did not constitute a potential danger to human health, and there was no other means to provide or to supply water intended for human consumption. The directive also required providing regular information to consumers, and each member state, every 3 years, they have to report the drinking water quality. This report was then monitored against the standards of the Drinking Water Directive, and the Commission then would synthesize all this in a report so that it would then summarize the quality of drinking water and its improvement at European level. In 2012, the Commission started working on a fitness check. They did a comprehensive policy evaluation of several directives here, checking for their effectiveness, efficiency, coherence, relevance, and EU added value. And in 2019, then they provided a report that said that the directives are fit for purpose, but there is some scope for improvement. In 2014, there was an initiative called Right to Water that aimed at looking at what do Europeans think about drinking water in the EU. So a little bit over 80%, they say that there is good access to quality drinking water where they live. Only 20% find drinking water outside their home country acceptable, and slightly less than 60% consider themselves well informed about the quality of their drinking water. So this European Citizens Initiative, Right to Water, collected over 1.8 million signatures, and they won, among other things, they wanted the EU to bring about universal access to water and sanitation. Access to water, because still about 11% of the Europeans, they suffer or they are affected by water scarcity. And this scarcity occurs where there are insufficient water resources to satisfy long-term average requirements. So based on this refit evaluation, fitness check evaluation, and the European Citizens Initiative Right to Water, the European Commission then adopted in 2018 a proposal for a revised drinking water directive to improve the quality of drinking water and to provide greater access and information to citizens. In a nutshell, these are the new EU rules on drinking water: improve access to water for all, upgrade drinking water standards, for instance, including microplastics, including now drugs, pharmaceutical drugs that are in the water that were not previously evaluated, and increase transparency to empower consumers. So this will lead then to better quality and transparency, which will make tap water safer. Confidence in tap water would be improved, and this will be good for the European citizens' health, their wallet, and the planet. The main elements of this revised drinking water directive is the updating of the safety standards, empowering authorities to better deal with risks to water supply and engage with polluters, empower consumers by giving them much more information and oversight over the efficiency and effectiveness of water suppliers. It will contribute to a transition to a circular economy. So it will help EU countries to manage drinking water in a resource efficient and sustainable manner so as to reduce energy use and unnecessary water loss. It will also help reduce the number of plastic bottles following increased confidence in tap water, improved access, and promotion of use of drinking water. So, by reducing the consumption of bottled water, it will help the households to save money. It will also cut plastic waste and greenhouse gas emissions. Yes, and therefore it will lead to an economic and environmental impact. I have here how much it costs for 1 liter of tap water and comparatively how many liters of bottled water an average person in the EU consumes. In the center, I have a cost for a bottle of 1.5 liters, how much they cost within the different countries in the EU. So it will have an economic impact, and by reducing plastic use and plastic consumption, it will also have a very big environmental impact. So let's use now the Mediterranean island of Cyprus as a case study for this. Cyprus is located in the Mediterranean Sea. It's a member of the European Union, and it is placed very strategically, very close to the Middle East and Africa. So Cyprus is still in 1974. Cyprus was invaded by Turkey, and about 38% of its territory is occupied by Turkey. Cyprus is very rich in history and in the natural beauty, yes. And within this very small place, we still have British bases. The Cyprus became independent from the British in 1961, but because of, and also because of the Turkish invasion, Cyprus has a presence of the United Nations in the country. So there is a buffer zone that separates the occupied area from the free areas. So how is water managed then in Cyprus? Water resources and all the European directives and how we implement these European directives are managed by the Water Development Department. This information, all the information about the waters in Cyprus is actually readily available. Most of the water that is consumed in Cyprus comes from rainwater. Cyprus does not really have perennial rivers, so water comes then from the dam, from the rain. It's stored in dams, and it is then processed in water. It is processed then for consumption. What is interesting here is that 86% of the water is actually evaporated. So in times where there is not enough rain, Cyprus can undergo very big, very long droughts during the summer, especially during the summer period. You can find information about Cyprus and within the European Union. So this is a picture, this is a screenshot of the European Environmental Agency, and all the information for Cyprus and any other European country can be found in there. In terms of drinking water safety is under the Ministry of Health, the Public Health Service, and the environmental health sector. So the parametric values for microbiological and chemical analysis that were set out within the Drinking Water Directive are monitored then by the environmental health sector, and they are publicly available in their website. So this information is published twice a year, and you can see here, and I will apologize for the Greek. Greek and Turkish are the the official languages in the Republic of Cyprus. So you can see here then the chemical analysis, the microbiological analysis, and the organic analysis that is actually set every 6 months. Now, going to the last part of my talk, I'm going to talk about a little bit of what we are doing in terms of water pollutants. And these two pollutants were actually not included previously in the 1998 Drinking Water Directive, but they are included now in this revised Drinking Water Directive. One of them is microplastics, and the other one I'm going to talk about Cryptosporidium. So we produce and we utilize a lot of plastic. Yeah, this picture shows you how much plastic waste is produced worldwide in kilograms per day per person. And on the slide, on the figure just below, this is for Europe. Microplastics are plastics that are smaller than 5 millimeter. They are present throughout, they are ubiquitous in the environment, and they can be categorized as primary microplastics when they are already manufactured in these sizes for specific use, for instance, in cosmetics or for abrasion, or they can be categorized as secondary microplastics when they originate from larger plastics. Because of their small size, microplastics can enter living organisms and induce adverse effects, even in humans. The fate of microplastics until it reaches the humans. So microplastics could come from the air, could come from food, and they could come from drinking water. Yes, and this figure then shows how they could actually achieve or how they could be reaching humans. In Cyprus, drinking water comes from two sources: water that is stored in the dams or water that comes from desalination plants. The water then goes to water treatment plants, and from there they are distributed. They are stored in water tanks before they go to the different households. And we decided then to evaluate for the presence of microplastics from water tanks, from households in different areas in Cyprus, and we also wanted to evaluate the presence of microplastics in local bottled water. These were the characteristics that we found of microplastics. They could be very, very small particles, like in C here. They could be fibers, or they could be larger plastic fragments. What we found is that in all cities, when we examined tap water from all cities, major cities in Cyprus, we found microplastics in all areas, including in the Amiantos here is a village, is in the mountains. We also found microplastics in bottled water. These are the three major bottling companies, and we found microplastics in all of them. So for Cyprus then, we found microplastics in all samples that we characterized. Bottled water had slightly less microplastics as compared to the tap water, but we believe that we need to do more experiments in order for us to be able to conclude that. Yes, and this just tells us that we should, and the government, and when implementing then the new revised Drinking Water Directive, they should be looking at how to be able to remove the microplastics containing in tap water so as to improve the confidence of the consumer in drinking more tap water and as opposed to increasing the consumption of bottled water. The last part then, it's a proposal that we have put together with the Instituto Federal Fluminense and the Universidade Estadual do Rio de Janeiro, and it's related to Cryptosporidium. Cryptosporidium is a pathogen that causes diarrhea and it can lead to, and it's responsible for nearly 1 million deaths worldwide every year. Yes. Why is this of interest? This pathogen is usually more present in developing, but also in developed countries, either because there is lack of basic standards for water safety, or there is no standardized reporting system or even surveillance system. Within Europe, this varies. The reporting for Cryptosporidium varies very, very much between the different member states. What is important in relation to Cryptosporidium is that Cryptosporidium actually is resistant to the normal treatment, water treatment. So it can be present in drinking water, and it can even survive in recreational waters. What do I mean by recreational waters? Recreational waters could be swimming pools and water parks. So if an individual that is carrying the Cryptosporidium, they can actually contaminate swimming pools, they can contaminate the water parks, and even seawater, because the parasite can survive for many days even in seawater. So the objectives of this project is to measure the environmental presence and the cost of Cryptosporidium in aquatic ecosystems and propose preventative and mitigation actions. So we want to look at different aquatic, if the pathogen is present in different aquatic ecosystems, we want to do some modeling to see how the Cryptosporidium can be transported or spread from these aquatic ecosystems to the human population. We plan to conduct a risk assessment to identify what are the major risk factors that influence the spread of crypto in the water that may increase the incidence of crypto outbreaks in the different countries, and propose preventative and mitigation actions for that. So we think that the impact of this project will help us understand, devise, and propose approach that will mitigate and minimize public health risks. Yes, it will also call attention and further support the need for standardizing reporting systems within the European Union. We will also propose innovative technological solutions for the modeling of the spread of the parasite and monitoring of the proposed actions. And very, very important for us is the international cooperation and the mobility between the partners, aiming at the exchange of best practices and knowledge transfer. Yes, so these are the different methods that we plan to be using, and the relevance of or so we expect that as outcomes of the projects, we will be able to influence policymakers. We will be taken into consideration the outcomes in relation to the scenario building, and tools and digital solutions will be taken into consideration and will be adopted by the relevant authorities, which is actually very, very important. These are the partners in our project: the University of Nicosia Research Foundation in Cyprus, the University of Oviedo in Spain, Instituto Superior Técnico Lisboa in Portugal, the Universidade do Estado do Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and the Instituto Federal Fluminense, Brazil. This project we submitted in May. We have passed the first phase, and we are waiting then for the results on this project that should be coming early September. Yes, I thank you very much for your patience, for I hope you actually enjoyed, learned a little bit about the quality of water in the European Union and in Cyprus. And I have here my contact information, and please do not hesitate to contact me if you would like if you have any questions or if you would like any clarifications. Thank you very much. Bye.